Hello and welcome to the Ultimate Nurse Guide. In this video we will talk about the nurse in detail. Her power will be explained and you will be given the best builds, add-ons and map offering for the nurse. Furthermore, the strengths, weaknesses and additional tips will be addressed. Stick until the end to get some tips on how to effectively use her power. Without further ado, let's jump straight into the video. The nurse is the best killer in the current meta, being S tier. Her power consists of 2 blinks that she can chain to close the gap between herself and the survivors, while also giving her the ability to traverse the map quickly and cut down chases. In terms of difficulty, the nurse is the most complex killer to learn, as she breaks all the basic knowledge a player will obtain over the course of the regular gameplay. She ignores pallets, windows and walls, and she doesn't require anti-loop perks to be effective in chases. It is imperative to understand how to use the blink properly and how to predict survivor movements, since she moves slower than survivors and relies on her blinks for both movement and chases. I recommend that you don't start out with nurse, since a general knowledge of the game, especially survivor movement and tactics, is required to be an effective nurse player. Once mastered, the nurse is the most powerful killer in Dead by Daylight. In terms of strengths, the nurse can cut down chases very quickly using her blinks. She has great map pressure by being able to traverse it fast. She can teleport through walls, including to the lower and upper level of a map or building, and she benefits greatly from aura reading and gen regression perks, while not relying on chase perks to shut down loops nor endgame perks to get more than a few hooks. In terms of weaknesses, the nurse is hard to pick up and harder to master. She can blink to a different floor by mistake, she requires a well-developed muscle memory to use her blink properly, and she cannot cancel her first blink once she begins charging it. To counter her blink cancellation weakness, you can choose to blink at your feet, making you stay relatively still. This trick is ineffective when you are on the upper level of a map or a building, or when you are above the basement, since you will teleport to the lower level. She also moves slower than a survivor, having a movement speed of 3.85 meters per second, so she relies on her power to move around. The nurse can be very hard to play on maps with multiple line of sight blockers, such as Levy's Memorial Institute. In terms of add-ons, using double blink range add-ons is your best choice. In terms of map offerings, the best map for nurse is Midwich Elementary School, so pop on Mary's Letter offering whenever possible. She also benefits from the Dog Saloon, since it is a very small map with many open areas. The Dog Saloon is always a good map to play on as killer, since there are multiple 3-gen options that can spawn and it is very easy to cut down chases. Since nurse ignores all pallets, windows and walls, she has an easy time traversing and pressuring generators on Midwich, while survivors will have a hard time dodging her attacks and losing her. The nurse can also take advantage of drop-down points by blinking to the landing spot. If done correctly, the survivor will not be able to dodge your attack using Dead Hard, since it is unusable until the survivor regains full control of their movement. This process takes about 2 seconds, but they are still vulnerable to damage. In terms of perks, Scorch Soup, Pain Resonance, Barbecue and Chili, Pop Goes the Weasel and Call of Brine provide you with gen regression and information, making it easier for you to find survivors and stall the game. While using Deadman's Switch instead of Call of Brine may seem like a good idea, Deadman's Switch can be easily countered by jumping off the generator when the killer is about to hook a survivor, wait for the regression to occur, and then jump back on the generator. This will prevent the survivor from being thrown off the generator and have it blocked. The survivor will also not be revealed by screaming. Scorch Soup, Pain Resonance provides you with a 15% gen regression when you hook survivors on specific hooks. It also gives you information by making survivors repairing the affected generator scream, revealing their location. Barbecue and Chili gives you information about where the survivors are, and you can even find out which generators are being worked on. This perk is countered by hiding behind the generator to obstruct the killer's aura reading, by hiding in a locker, or by just being within 40 meters of the killer. Nevertheless, this perk is very powerful on nurse, since she needs some kind of aura reading to be an effective killer. Pop Goes the Weasel and Call of Brine go hand in hand, since Pop reduces the progress of the generator by 25% and Call of Brine further assists with gen regression by making the gen regress to 100% faster than normal. Additionally, Call of Brine also gives you information for 60 seconds by prompting you with a loud noise notification every time a survivor completes a good skill check on the affected generator. This way you can go back and contest the generator when a survivor goes back to repair it. This combo is especially useful when there are 1 or 2 generators remaining. As an alternative build, I suggest bringing Little Pursuer for early game tracking, Barbecue and Chili for survivor tracking, Starstruck for additional chase pressure, and applying the Exposed Status effect and Infectious Fright to know to whom the Exposed Status effect will be applied. Lethal Pursuer shows you the aura of all survivors for 7 seconds at the start of the game, so you don't waste any time looking for a survivor. This perk allows you to injure and even down a survivor very quickly and build up pressure on the survivor side without trying too hard. Barbecue and Chili shows you the aura of all survivors that are at least 40 meters away every time you hook a survivor. This perk will give you the information needed to know where to go next. Starstruck will apply the Exposed Status effect to all survivors in your terror radius when picking up, dropping or hooking a survivor, while also letting you know who is in your terror radius using Infectious Fright. The Exposed Status effect lasts for 30 seconds after dropping a survivor or hooking them. The duration is also applied when the affected survivor leaves your terror radius. This combination is very dangerous on the survivor's side since it can make the nurse a one-shot killer. When starting out, Bitter Murmur, Thanatophobia, A Nurse's Calling and Jolt will be a great build until you get the hang of Nurse's playstyle. All of them can be gained in the few levels of playing Nurse without requiring you to obtain any teachable perks. Bitter Murmur will offer you information about survivors' location for 5 seconds whenever a generator is completed. When the last gen pops, the duration is extended to up to 10 seconds. A Nurse's Calling will show you the aura of survivors being healed, healing themselves or healing others while within up to 32 meters of you. Pair this with Thanatophobia and you have a great combo that provides survivor tracking and game slowdown. Thanatophobia will lower the gen repair speed of all survivors by up to 5% for each injured survivor. This perk will buy you more time to get downs and will go hand in hand with the Nurse's Calling. Jolt will cause generators within 32 meters of a survivor you down to lose up to 8% of their repair progress and begin regressing. This is a good gen regression perk for players just starting out. Depending on how long you charge her blink, the distance you will travel will change. Also, certain props and the position of your camera will also change the position of your final destination. The maximum range of her first blink is 20 meters, while her chain blink range is only 12 meters. It takes 2 seconds for her to fully charge her blink. You will know when the first blink is fully charged when she closes her fist. When starting out, you can use the Plate Flannel Brown add-on to be able to see your blink destination. This will allow you to see and understand where you are going to blink. Consider this add-on the training wheels of Nurse. Try using it sparingly later on so you will not struggle when you take off the add-on. When traveling, use one blink at a time, and while chasing a survivor, use the first blink to close the gap and the second to correct your position. You can also blink to cut off a survivor's path. Be careful, as the survivor can double back and cause you to miss your blink. After blinking, you will have a 1.5 seconds window to hit a survivor or to charge a second blink before succumbing to fatigue. During fatigue, your camera will point at the ground, limiting your line of sight while also moving slower at 0.96 meters per second. Depending on the amount of blinks you used and if you attempted a hit or not, the fatigue duration will increase. If you only used one blink, the fatigue will be 2 seconds. If you attack in the chain blink window or after using the second blink, the fatigue timer will be increased by 1 second. If you use a chain blink, her fatigue will increase by 0.5 seconds. After consuming one or both charges, it takes 3 seconds for one of her charges to return to her. Your blinks don't recharge while you are charging your blink, while you are blinking and during the chain blink window. Keep in mind that while blinking, you can turn around and you can see survivors hiding in lockers for a split second as you are going through them. If a flashlight is shined at you, you will not be able to blink. However, the survivor moves slowly when using the flashlight, so you can just walk up to them and hit them with a basic attack. Additionally, if they are pointing their flashlight at your body for long enough while you are charging your blink, the blink will be cancelled and you will be forced into fatigue for 2 seconds. This trick is very hard to do and will rarely happen to you. Tip number 1. Try practicing her power in a custom game if possible. If not, just queue for a game and start blinking. For example, see how much you need to charge a blink to get to a specific point. You can use a generator, a pallet, a door, a window, or anything else as a target point. Some survivors may make fun of you. Don't worry, just ignore them and do your thing. They will eventually leave you alone and jump on gens. Tip number 2. Avoid using perks like Unrelenting, Bamboozle and Hexblood Favor since you get no value from them. The nurse ignores pallets and windows and uses her power to engage and hit survivors, therefore the fatigue overrides Unrelenting. Bamboozle is useless since you can just blink on the other side, and Hexblood Favor is useless since you almost never get stunned by a pallet and you cannot get stunned and fatigued back to back. When you will get a good hang of her power, you will never get stunned by a pallet. Tip number 3. Avoid breaking pallets and walls unless you need to do so to get to a close hook. This will slow down survivors by having to slow fold the pallet, or it will give you information when they fast fold the pallet. Since you can blink on the other side, you have almost no reason to break most pallets. Tip number 4. Vaulting windows is useless unless you want to preserve your blinks for some reason. Nevertheless, you can just blink on the other side of windows. Tip number 5. You will need a lot of patience since it can take a good 15 hours or even more to get a decent grasp of the blink mechanic. Tip number 6. While blinking is a good idea in most situations, you may find it more advantageous to just walk. Tip number 7. While walking, you will have a longer lunge attack than most killers, so you can lunge at a survivor that is close to you for a free hit if they miss position. Tip number 8. Avoid using the following add-ons since they will only nerf your power, bring you little to no value, or they are useless. White Knit Comb, Metal Spoon, Pocket Watch, Dual Bracelet, Batman Keepsake, Spasmodic Breath, Anxious Gasp, Jenner's Last Breath, Campbell's Last Breath, and Matchbox. Tip number 9. When using Torn Bookmark, make sure to pair it with Fragile Wheeze, so the penalty of having a third blink is reduced from 4.5 seconds recharge time per charge to 3.9 seconds recharge time per charge. Tip number 10. Be patient when using her blinks, as the only person who can use a game for you is yourself. When you reach a high enough skill level, you can even deal with 4-stack groups that have the most meta perks and know perfectly how to play against Nurse. Therefore, try to be as precise as possible with your blinks and try predicting a survivor's movement as well as possible. That's it for today. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to press the like button and subscribe to the channel for more Dead by Daylight content. Don't forget to comment down below what video you would like to see next. Thank you for watching and see you next time.